Okay, but why SNP? Why did you get into SNP?
Made the choice myself because I didn't grow up in an SNP voting household. I actually grew up in a Lib Dem Tory household, and that reflects the area I live in to some extent as well. You'll find a lot of people in Westhill vote. We've historically voted for the Liberal Democrats, and now we're voting for the Tories. But I think the really good thing about my parents and the way they brought us up is that they taught us to think for ourselves as well, and they taught us to question everything. So I knew what I believed in. I knew certain stances I had on certain issues. I just knew how I felt about it. And I went online and I started just looking at how different political parties stand on key issues I'm concerned about.
At what age were you when you started doing this research?
I was quite young because I was so bookish. I was a nerd.
Were you?
Yeah, I was such a nerd. Yeah, okay. My mum used to joke that that's what ruined my eyesight. So no, I grew up reading books and everything. Like Jacqueline Wilson, as a kid, she wrote for children, and I would read all her books and ask for more. My mum would take me to the library. It was just mental. But yeah, so I started, and I think I got a copy of one of Margaret Thatcher's books when I was 13 years old as well. So I started reading that, and I was like, no, I don't like you. So I don't like what you've done to Scotland. So I just went online and I just started looking at different political parties, where they stood, and I was like, okay, we were brought up in Nigeria. My dad always used to speak about Nigeria's independence. So in all fairness, that did influence a lot of my political thinking, because we were taught about independence, countries having the right to lead and that sort of stuff. So, and I think it's just natural. Like, why do you want to be controlled by another country? So I was like, okay, I'm pro-independence. Now let me just think about a party whose policies I support. And I looked up, and I generally thought I would end up going to Labour, but then I felt Labour was a bit too out of the way for me, like in terms of on the political spectrum. And then I had a look at the Scottish Greens and the SNP, and then I thought the Scottish Greens were not for me, because I'm not really, some issues I'm just like a bit, they take it to the extreme. I don't think they think about the consequences and the need to sort of approach things in a balanced or a nuanced way. And then I landed on the SNP, and I was just ticking. I was like, wow, like
were ticking all the boxes.
I was like, and even the direction they were moving in, I was like, even if I didn't slightly agree on some of the stuff they were saying, I could see the direction they were moving in as a party naturally. Like, they were centre left. This is the direction they're moving, this is their thinking, and you sort of almost can predict sort of stance they would take on certain issues. So I was like, yeah, I'm joining you. But then the problem I encountered, working as a journalist, it's not advised to join a political party, to hold party political membership, because there is a due impartiality requirement as a journalist. You need to be seen to be...
So you're a journalist. Let's go back. We'll go back to that.
Yeah.
So tell us about your background, how you went into, or why you decided to go into journalism. Is it because of your nerdish background?
No. So I did always like to read books. I liked to speak a lot as well. So I think when people think of people who love books, they think they're quiet and everything. But no, I love to speak. I love to share the knowledge I had. And I think those were really important qualities in a journalist. I also liked to find the facts, find the truth, and also make sure people know that. And my siblings would joke that I used to tell them all the time, because I'll find out what happened and I'll be like, this is what happened and this is how it happened. So I think
probably law would have also been good for you.
Yeah, no, my dad wanted me to study law, actually. Okay. But no, I went with journalism because I also love to write and read. Funnily enough, when my mum was cleaning our loft, she found short stories I had written. And it's really funny, because what I used to do is I would take A4 paper, then I would fold it and I would staple the end and then I would turn it into a book, and then I would just write little stories.
Oh wow.
So that was me. And yeah, and the more I just grew up, the more I would watch the news as well with my mum. She would always have the news on, and I was just like, wow, I just want to be able to be in that space and do what I already love doing. So call it a bit of my personality, call it a bit of what I love to do, call it my passion. So I was like, yeah. I like journalism. So, yeah, and I would used to pretend to be reporting on like the weather and stuff. I put on little shows for my mom. It was very funny. And I was like, why didn't you record a lot of this? Because I would have loved to have laughed at myself. But that was it, yeah, so.
Okay. So how did your upbringing, or how has your upbringing shaped your ideologies, the way, you see life?
Absolutely. So, my parents, I don't know, I think it's also Nigerian. People used to joke about Nigerians. We always see the positive side of things. We try to. Like, we joke about hardships. Like, sometimes.
Do we see the positive, or we're just
sometimes, no, it's just very, yeah, maybe that. Yeah, because you're also Nigerian as well. It's just like, something happens and you're just like, it's sort of like, so a lot of that was instilled in me from an early stage. And my parents were very big on teaching us how to be independent as well as people, to think for ourselves, to try and also help other people. So that was it, a lot of that. But then also we had the reality as well that, we're in a world that's, when you have certain intersections, there are additional challenges as well. And my parents used to, I think there was some fear from my parents, I think, that if they're not as good as this, then they're not going to get anywhere. I didn't realise at the time, but you kind of think with hindsight that was maybe their worry. So they made us do everything. Good grades. Yeah. You're doing this extracurricular activity. You have to excel in everything. You do. That was them. So it's like, you're doing this activity, you're doing that activity. My mum would take us dancing lessons. Like I did tap, I did disco, so
it's a cultural thing.
Yeah, it is a cultural thing. I've noticed that with a lot of Nigerian households. Yeah. So, and I was like, even though I was born and raised in Scotland, even though my dad had been there for a long, long time, like he's now coming up 50 years in Scotland, I think.
50.
Yes, my dad, yeah. So I was like, even that, they just had that upbringing, and it was always like, you have to work 10 times harder, 20 times harder, and they had very high expectations from us. So I think that really...
It's because I think part of it is because of the environment where we come from. Back home is kind of a competitive...
It is very competitive. Yeah, very competitive. If I look at my cousins, it's very competitive.
Yeah, so you need to always excel, and your parents would, at a very early stage... I know growing up, we used to have positions in class. There's the first position, second, third. Yeah. So if there are like 30 students in the class, each of them would have a position.
Ranking.
And you wouldn't want to come last. Exactly. So
I'm fully aware. Ranking students and, praising the high rankers and almost a pedestal rolled out for them as well.
Yeah, and so that's how it has been. And you grow up with that, always, wanting to do the best, pushing yourself over and beyond.
Yeah.
And the parents also, instill that sort of...
It did rub up
believe on their kids.
So, we just did, primary school, academy, university. That was a natural progression. Do a postgraduate degree if you can as well. It was that. So, I think those qualities, it's just work hard, don't give up. And I realise that's still with me. And I think that's something that I'm trying to address inwardly as well. Because sometimes I feel I do too much as well. I'm just like, Fatima, maybe just take a break, but then you're scared to take a break at the same time, because you're like, if you take a break, then you're just going to fall behind. And I'm just like, well, in the first place, don't do so much that you fall behind if you take a break. But I just don't know. I enjoy what I do at the same time just now. So
what do you do now?
I've got quite a few hats.
The main thing of the day. What do you do?
So in my day-to-day life, I am an elected councillor. I sit on Aberdeenshire Council representing the residents of Westhill and District. So the district area, that's like the surrounding towns in West... Well, not necessarily towns, but the surrounding areas in Westhill. And I also work part-time for a member of the Scottish Parliament as well. She also serves an Aberdeenshire seat, lovely hardworking MSP as well, so I'm learning a lot from her, which I'm really grateful to as well. And a lot of my day-to-day job is a lot of what I've been brought up doing, being taught to do is, if you're in a position to help someone, if you're in a position to make people's lives easier, do it. Why choose to make people's lives harder? And I think that's something I've sort of battled with as well, because I've seen people act in a manner where they've made things harder for people. Personally, I've recently been through an experience where the time I really, really could have done with the help, I felt just beaten again. So that's the sort of thing where you sort of wrestle with as well, because it just depends where that hurt is coming from.
Does it have to do with your political career?
It does.
You want to share?
No, I'm not going to speak about it publicly. But it's just, so I came into politics to try and help people, to try and make their lives easier. Mm-hmm. So I think that's the focus. Mm-hmm. What happens in the background, I'm trying to, as I recover from an incident that happened, I'm trying to just make it background noise just now. But yeah, my focus is, and will always continue to be, if I'm in a position to help someone, if I have the skills, the energy, the drive to do it, do it. It won't take a lot from you. And some people just don't have that time, they don't have that space to be able to do it. They're thinking about 100 different things at the time. So I'm in a position to make their life that much better. And, I'm also operating in a space where I understand the systems, I can help them navigate it as well. So, it's just that sort of support that people look for. So that's what I do in my day-to-day life as a councillor, and also working for an MSP as a caseworker as well. People come to us with their issues, and it's our job to do everything we can to support them within the political systems that we have, just help them navigate that. So,
at what age did you become interested, or at what age did you realize you were interested in politics?
So if I look at everything I've done over the past year, I can't really think of an exact age, but if I look at all the things I've done, everything.
So when you finished, you read journalism in university.
Yeah. So yeah.
At that point, did you know you were going to go into politics?
No, I didn't, because I set out to be a journalist. Mm-hmm. I did everything to be a journalist. In terms of politics, even if I look at the things I've been doing, trying to be a journalist, it's transferable skills that come into politics as well, if I think about it now. And it was during the course, so after I worked in Nigeria for a year, I was working for Daily Trust. It was in their Abuja office, so it's one of the most widely circulated newspapers in Nigeria, and I was covering their law.
You went to work. You worked in Nigeria.
Yeah. So, if you want me to circle back, I can explain that.
At what point did you work in Nigeria? You said you grew up here. Everything was done.
Yeah.
By
So
education.
2000.
So at what point did you go back?
Yeah. So I was in Nigeria from 2015 till about 2016.
About a year.
Yeah.
Why? What did you go to do?
So, I wanted to work for Al Jazeera when I finished studying journalism at the Robert Gordon University. I was there from 2010 to 2014, and I wanted to work for Al Jazeera. So I looked up Al Jazeera, I contacted someone there, and they were advising me that there was someone that was based in Nigeria. It was a Nigerian I found, and they were advising me. They were like, well, you don't really have what Al Jazeera would look for. I mean, you've just been born and raised in the UK. You've really got nothing to show. You're just fresh out of university. My advice to you is try and get some experience in another country. Maybe go to a developing country. You're Nigerian. And I was like, yeah, I'm Nigerian. I have a Nigerian passport. I'll have no problem working there. So I started looking at opportunities in Nigeria, and then I found out that in order to work in Nigeria, you had to do a year of National Youth Service. So they call it NYSC in full, National Youth Service Corporation or Corps.
Corps,
yeah. So you would know it because so I applied for it, and then through that I got a placement with the Daily Trust. So just for the viewers, they pay you as well. It's not like you're doing this for free. They pay you. Mm-hmm. So you get paid, and then after that, when you finish that year of that training, of that service, then it allows you to work in the country. So without the NYC, you can't work in Nigeria, basically. That's what they're saying to you. So that was the situation I found myself in. So I was like, you know what, I'll do it, because at the same time I'm going to be working anyway. I'll get that experience. So I did. And during my time working there, when it came to the end of the year, I did continue working for the Daily Trust, but I was like, I would watch Al Jazeera religiously. I'd also watch CNN religiously because I loved Christiane Amanpour. I know the TV channels back here in Scotland and the rest of the UK as well. So I would watch Channel 4 is one of my favourite, and I really admired what Lindsay Hilson was doing. So she's the war correspondent for Channel 4 News. And I was like, okay, I definitely want to do that. And then when I was just checking out their backgrounds, I just realised the background knowledge they had. And when I just put it all together, I realised, okay, a course in maybe international development or international relations will give me that academic grounding. And then with more research, I decided international development would be better, because the difference between international relations and development, I find international relations is more diplomatic, it's more the politics side, where international development is more issue focused. Like you get the skills and knowledge to deal with like poverty, inequality, like issues. So I applied for that. I got into the University of Birmingham's master's programme, and I went there, and it was during the course of that I started taking some policy, some core modules like aid policy and politics, and it was just the politics that was drawing me in. And I realised that, you know, if it's about change, politics is where the decision making happens.
Absolutely.
And then I've also seen like the gap as well, because what we have in politics is not representative of a population. There's that data gap. I don't know if people have read Caroline Paris's book as well. It's like she's spoken about the inequalities that women face, and she's always talking about the data gap, that gender data gap, and that exists in politics, and that's why issues don't get solved. There's no point reporting on issues through journalism and trying to fix it if the people
are not well represented.
Exactly. And you know, journalists hold politicians to account as well. So I was like, you know what, I actually want to, like, I have that drive, I have the skills, I think I might be able to work there. And I got offered, so when I was there studying, I was also working for Islamic Relief as well. And by that time, I was a supporter for the SNP. When I became old enough to vote, my first vote was for the SNP. And by the time I got a job offer from a member of the European Parliament, to go and work for him, I took that opportunity to then join the SNP, because I was coming from a background where holding party political membership is not normally advised at all. So I joined the SNP. I went to work for that MEP. Brexit happened, so we were on a ticking clock for how long we could be there. So after Brexit, you know, I was just building my skills again and just, you know, working. And then I applied for a job with a member of Parliament as well, UK Parliament, and he represented the neighbouring constituency I'm in. So he represented the one next door. I got the job, so I worked with him for a good 4 years, from about 2020 to 24, when he sadly lost his seat at the recent general election. So working for him, obviously I built more skills, and by that time I had been elected as a councillor. He encouraged me to stand for council as well, which was really good, and I took the opportunity. I stood, and I got elected in a town I was born and raised in, and I was really happy about that. I couldn't wait to give back as well.
What has been the most challenging journey, or what has been the most challenging point in your career as a politician?
So the challenging part wasn't actually the work itself. The challenging part was
your relationship with people. It's
always people. No, but it's not even that.
Sometimes it could be the work.
Yeah, no, it's not. I still love the work, and that's the reason why I'm still doing it. There's ups and downs with the work, you know. It can be really frustrating sometimes. But then at the end of the day, you wake up every morning and you're just like, you know what, I know why I'm doing this. Like, there's a bigger picture here. So
the people,
and it's not even that. Like, I deal with a lot of abuse. Like, so I'll start with the nature of abuse. Yeah, so I get I'm a black
verbal
Muslim.
Abuse.
It's mostly online.
Online.
Yeah, and I did fight back once. And
what is it, like through emails?
No, I get emails. I get social media, messages. You know, it's just any platform that they can access you on, that you're on as well. So no, it happens to a lot of politicians, but I don't think what people fail to recognize is that the more intersections you have, the more layers people have to attack you on. So a lot of the abuse I've received has touched on you can tell it's being prompted by, you know, your party political leaning aside, because people do attack you for which party you're in, just solely for which party you're in. But then also, you know, they'll have like preconceived notions of you and prejudice towards you. If you're a woman, for example, if you're a BAME woman, that's another layer. A BAME Muslim woman who presents as a Muslim woman as well, like I wear the headscarf. So it's just, you know, that's different. There's also some ageism as well. Older people get it, younger people get it. So there's just so many layers, and I have so many of those layers. So I think that's what the people who I turn to support fail to recognise, that these sort of experiences are not what they would likely experience as well, the level of which. So, you know, the abuse still happens. I've got a better handle on it now. And what keeps me going is the fact that I know what I'm doing job-wise.
So when you started getting all this abuse, discrimination, how did it make you feel?
It makes you feel awful. Like, you try not to look at it, because you're also on platforms where you find it's useful to actually engage with people, to engage with your constituents. Use these platforms as well. So it's very difficult to want to come off it. Like, now I've stopped. I'm barely using X. I just go on and retweet and everything.
Did it ever make you feel less of yourself? Did it ever make you feel at some point you didn't want to go on? Did it ever make you feel like backing down?
No. If anything, it made me feel the opposite. After a whole massive abuse case that was published online as well, where I fought back, and I've learned never to fight back, which is the really difficult thing as well. It's so I think if you think about it, you know, when people tell you, some people, I've noticed, if someone tells you you're not good enough, then you make a point to show them that you are, in a way. And I think that was my response in a lot of instances. Like, I would work harder at something. If someone wasn't happy with the quality, I would work harder to make it better, you know, that sort of thing. So I would always keep working hard. I keep seeking more knowledge. I keep building my skills. I keep doing that. I've been in that constant cycle, and I keep doing it. Half the time it's because I enjoy it. I also like learning new things.
So what else? So keep going. I'm trying to pick out things that you did.
Yeah, so no, absolutely. So yeah, in the midst of abuse, that still happens.
What about in your relating with people, relationship with your colleagues?
Yeah.
How did that go, and how did you, obviously you would have encountered some unpleasant comments. How did you cope with that? Because these are people you work with every day. These are people you see. So how did you like compose yourself? I just want to know how you would go into that space every other day, knowing that people are maybe speaking behind your back or laughing or making jest.
No one's, so in the space I work in, no one said anything nasty to my face. No one's ever, I think we've been very civil in terms of working at the task at hand.
All the abuse you've gotten.
So all the abuse I've gotten is from the public. So I think, yeah, so, and then obviously you go to that space, you go to your workspace, you go back to your work colleagues to sort of escape that abuse.
Okay.
And for some people, maybe when you go to a space to escape it, and that space, I don't know, you know, you sort of feel lost. Like, you're like, okay, where do I go next? For that sort of support that you're looking for, sort of thing. So yeah, I think in terms of I think you just need to really focus on people who are support. Focus on individuals, I think, is the way forward. I think maybe don't focus on environments, maybe focus on individual people. And I think that's what really helps, you know, find a friend, find a really good friend, because sometimes, and try not to look so much at environments, but I think individual people is my advice I'd give to people from my experiences. Maybe just look at individual people and you'll find friends.
So individual person.
I've got some really good colleagues. It's
like maybe a mentor.
Yeah, as well. Yeah, I've got some. Even like I've got some really good fellow councillor colleagues as individuals who have been really lovely. So and you know, you focus on that, and that's cross party as well. Like, you know, we have shared as well as different experiences. We're not all fighting behind the scenes as well. That's not really what happens. I mean, people can be friends across the political spectrum. And
they just hold different views.
Yeah, just hold different views as well. So I think that is entirely possible. Sometimes it's not possible to be that, because sometimes those on political spectrums are maybe making decisions that directly impact your community, or so it is sometimes very difficult. But what's really important is that when it comes to collective decision making, you've just got to go in with that headset and just focus on that particular decision making. So you're going to have to work with people, with all sorts of different people. I think that's the thing that you also learn as well eventually. I mean, you learn that as well, that you have to try and navigate that. So I think in terms of resilience, what's really helped me is just focusing on the individual people who have been really supportive, people who have been really, you've had shared experiences with as well. That was really important. That's really important in terms of someone who, like me, who's experiences a lot of abuse in politics as well. And also learning from your mistakes as well.
Can you share some of those abuse that you keep mentioning that,
It's mostly just social media. It's just like attacks. It's just some people have used nasty words, and I've seen someone even write on a blog that in a comment section on a blog that her religion encourages men to beat her. So maybe we can have that. It's just, they were just implying that this is what happens anyway, so no one's going to think two words about it, sort of thing. Those comments are nasty to read, so I also say to people, don't read them. Like, I used to make the mistake.
Why do you read them?
No, because when you just start, so that's also something that I learned as well.
Yeah,
don't read them.
Yeah,
it's very difficult to sometimes, because sometimes it's in your face. It's very difficult not to read them if it comes into your email inboxes. It's very difficult not to read them because you're seeing them. So it's easier to say. It's easier said than done, I think. I genuinely think it's easier said than done. Especially when you're receiving it at such a scale that you sometimes find it hard to escape from it, in a way. And even that,
and and in all this experience, you never broke down.
I
did. You ever cry? That's what I want to hear, Fatima.
No,
I want to hear those low moments.
The interesting thing is, it's not the abuse that made me break down.
What made you break down?
I'm not going to say it publicly. It's not the abuse that made me break down. It was actually somewhere that I used to want to escape from the abuse that made me break down because of a response that happened instead. So it wasn't the abuse, surprisingly. I went through an experience, I faced a public, a public situation because of it. I went through it after that. I just put my head down, I went back to it, and then it was just later on that something happened that's what made me break down. And I'm not going to speak about it publicly, and I'd appreciate not being probed on it, but that's what happened.
No, it's okay, definitely.
Yeah, so that's what, because, it's just about, building back from it. You're trying to move forward as much as possible now. It can be very difficult, but you try to, and I think that's where, on your podcast, you're speaking about being resilient. So I think that's a really important thing. It's how do you move forward from that? Sometimes it's not easy at all, and I think the pain sometimes for people, it can hurt for people when you go through certain experiences, because it can come from somewhere you least expect or you didn't want it to. And I think that's more painful than...
Have you recovered from it, Fatima?
I'm still trying. I am still trying so hard.
That.
Yeah, I'm still trying. So it's not easy. I try not to talk about it as much because you tend to hide a lot as well, because you feel that people will be like, oh no, she's overreacting. But I don't think people understand the emotional impact of certain situations sometimes, like how difficult it can be to overcome that.
But you do know that you need to overcome it.
Oh no, absolutely. That's a given.
And then
that's a given, 100%. And thankfully, it hasn't affected my output in terms of working for people.
What are you doing in terms of overcoming it?
So I think it's just, like I said before, just focus on the sort of individual support you have. That's really important. And also focus on doing what you love. I've realised that a lot of why I'm able to build back from any setbacks or anything is because I'm thankfully, touch wood, doing a job that I really enjoy in politics, and not a lot of people have that. So it's also sort of an outlet. Okay. I'm very active within my political party. Outside of it, nationally, I do a lot of extracurriculars, and that helps massively. Some people don't have that, and I think that's where you realise that's the difference between someone being able to come back from something and not, because they don't have somewhere else to sort of help. So I think that's, but yeah, no, I think when it comes the abuse that politicians face, it can vary for people for different reasons, and if you're going to take anything from my experience of it, as hard as it is, don't fight back. like, I wanted to fight back, and that was...
How many people are going to fight? I think that's, for me, I would think, it's just,
it's just a human, it's a human reaction, especially if it's something that's been going on for so long. Then you one day just snap, and it's, because it's sort of, especially when it's interfering with something else you're trying to do as well. But if not, even now, I spend a lot of time ignoring it. It hasn't stopped, but I ignore it. And you also don't want to speak about it. That's the thing. So a lot of people didn't know the scale of abuse I was also receiving because I didn't want to speak about it. Because, there's always that fear that you would come across as someone who can't handle the environment you're in, that sort of stuff. And a lot of politicians have since spoken about, that sort of fear as well, that sort of imposter syndrome, that sort of thing. And
do you experience imposter syndrome?
I think everyone does. You always think you can do better. I generally do think I belong in my work environment.
Mm-hmm.
But then at the same time, you're also thinking, sometimes you have doubts that you could actually be better.
You're not doing good enough.
I think everyone does that in every environment. You're like, yes, I need to do better constantly. But I think that's also a reality. You can't come out there and say that you know everything. You can't come out there and say that you're 100%. You're always learning. That's the human cycle. You're on a continuous journey of learning. And if you get up one day and say that you've learned everything, I'd be a bit worried. Because there's no such thing as that. No, you're learning every day. And I think that's why I encourage people to read. You learn a lot from books, to be honest.
How would you define a resilient leader?
A resilient leader, I don't want to use the textbook definition of what resilient means.
No, based on your experience, of course, no. You want it based on what you have experienced.
A resilient leader, I think someone who takes time to reflect, maybe, on challenges that they've faced and learn from those challenges, and then you come back and use those experiences to actually move forward positively, I think. To me, that is resilience.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Thank you. No, yes, it does. Like I said, it's based on your experience, so definitely.
Because I know the textbook definition, and I was like, I don't want to use that.
Okay. No, I can only imagine what you have. Like you said, there's so many layers for you. I think you embody almost all the different elements or parts of a diverse person, diverse leader. I mean, you try to itemize it, that what you said, you're a woman, you're female.
So I volunteer with a lot of organisations, and someone just walked up to me one day and was like, you literally represent the triple threat. Not like that I'm a threat to them, but the threat of, so they picked out that I'm a woman, I'm a Muslim woman, and then I'm a black woman. They were like, oh, that's a triple threat. It's like,
triple threat.
Yeah. So,
that's exactly what I was trying to say. So I can only imagine what you would have faced, and the fact that you didn't back down, didn't give up. You still, I think it boils down to you having a purpose, knowing what you wanted to achieve and going for it, and no matter what is happening all around you. Yes, those things would happen. You made a very important point about you said having people not focusing on the environment, but focusing on just the few individual people that are around you.
Based on my experience, focus on, I think it's really good to, just have that support network of individuals, I think.
Yeah, which is like,
and for everyone it's different. That I think I'll say that. For everyone, I think it's different.
But definitely. For most people, you do need a support network.
Oh, no, you do. No, but where that support network is, I think that will vary for people. So don't take it based on what I'm saying. It can vary for different people, because I know one person there's support network,
church community, some people the mosque, some people your work environment, some people your family, immediate family. So yes, definitely, it varies for people. But thank you so much for sharing your story. I know as we were speaking, there's some parts of it I saw some emotions were already like rising. I was like, okay, fine. So I do know you still have things you're dealing with, but thank you for sharing your story. Before we round up, what advice would you want to give to someone that probably has listened to your journey? It could be someone that is in politics or not, but something you want to advise or regarding building resilience?
Okay. Life happens, but there's always an opportunity to grow and contribute to your society. I would really love to encourage, because there's so many positives. I'm still in politics because I believe in politics doing good to change people as well. So if you care about anything, if you care remotely about anything, I'm going to use Elect Hers. They're a really great organisation. They support women in politics, but I think their tagline just resonates with anyone. If you care, you are qualified. So if you are thinking about standing in politics and you know that you care about issues,
automatically you're qualified.
You're qualified to help. Like, just do it. And I think at the end of the day, you need to have more belief in yourself as well, then, because I think that comes from within, being able to withstand a lot. So really do try as much as possible to believe in yourself, as hard as that might be. But
I like that. If you care, I think that is part of having like a purpose or a desire, something driving you. You need to have that care.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much, Fatima. Thank you, and I appreciate your coming down here.
Nice.
And that's the end for today's episode. So today we've been speaking with Councillor Fatima, who grew up in Westhill, Aberdeenshire, in Scotland. She has an academic background in journalism and a professional background in international development. So thank you, and we'll see you in the next episode. Bye.